What's up, everybody? How's it going? Trying something a little different tonight. Gonna play a game while we do our Q&A. I was gonna do this on the gaming channel, but most people don't see it when I do it on the gaming channel. I streamed a couple nights ago on the gaming channel. I think we had about 120 people watching, which is still really good, but not nearly as many as we would get by doing something here on Vlogging Through History. So my son is right on the other side of this wall talking to his friends on Discord, so occasionally you might hear his voice in the background. But how is everybody doing tonight? Let's catch up with a few things. I saw this showed up earlier. Maxime, thank you for that. Hold on a second. Okay, just had to yell at my son. He was being a little too loud. Good morning in China. What's going on? Yeah, so Josh, that's what I was starting to say. I streamed Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on the gaming channel 2 nights ago. Played for 2 hours, did the first 2 hours or so of the kind of the prologue, and I'm going to play some more tomorrow if I can. Getting ready to leave with my son. We're heading to the UK next week to see 3 football games. So won't be streaming or uploading much on the gaming channel while I'm gone. Eagles or Chiefs? I didn't want either one to even make it to the Super Bowl, but we're going to go Eagles because I don't want to see the Chiefs win a third one in a row. I don't know how you could say it's a Humankind ripoff because, if anything, Humankind ripped off Civilization. I mean, Civilization's been going for, 30 years now as a game? So I'm not entirely sure I could really call it that. Vashik, yeah, I bet you are sleepy. I know this is kind of late for Central Europe. What is it, 1 a.m. already for you? We'll be in Egypt together in a few weeks. I'm excited about that. So first things first, we have to decide on who we're going to be. So in the new game, we are not tied, your leaders aren't tied to the country they came from. So, for example, you can be Augustus, but you don't have to be Rome. You could be Augustus and be some other country. Like last night, I did my first kind of test run. I played through maybe 30 turns of the game just to get my feet wet a little bit. So you'll still kind of see me learning the game as we go here because there are some changes. But I played as Lafayette with Rome, so it was a little different. Yeah, Roman Lafayette is apparently overpowered. Yeah, so that's what I played last night in my little test run. So not entirely sure which one I'm going to do yet. Yeah, it was all right. I mean, I didn't listen to the whole thing. I only had a minute or so, Joseph. But yeah, it's always interesting to hear his songs about the presidents. I have never been to a hockey game. All right, Aztec, thank you for that. Appreciate that. So I think we're gonna go ahead and go with Lafayette. Everybody's been playing as Napoleon with Rome, and I don't want to be just another person who does that. So each one of these leaders has different perks that they bring along with them. So Lafayette gains a unique endeavor called Reform, which grants an additional social policy slot, and you'll see those as we get into the game, the social policies. Supporting this endeavor also grants the other leader an additional policy slot. So that's you'll see how that all plays out. +1 combat strength for every tradition, culture and happiness. Yeah, I think we'll go with that. Shark Tooth Bill, thank you for that. I want to do a small report around the 6th Wisconsin of the Iron Brigade, but having a hard time finding out specific information on my company, which is Company K. I can't think of any specific resource. What exactly are you looking for? So if you're looking for information on individual soldiers, you're going to want to go to the National Archives and go to military records, or Fold 3. I think fold3.com probably has Wisconsin military records online. I know Ohio's aren't online, and I'm researching the 20th Ohio. So you might be able to get a membership to fold3.com, FOLD number 3.com, and you should be able to access all the 6 Wisconsin records that way. Can't hear the game. Well, there's not really anything to hear. The sound really isn't an issue. Wouldn't worry about that too much because we're going to be doing Q&A over top of it, so the sound's not a thing. But yeah, if you guys want to see who the other leaders are to start, and they're going to add more. So we've got to start. We've got Amina, warrior queen of the Zazao. We've got Ashoka, world renouncer. We've got Augustus, cultural expansionist. Benjamin Franklin, diplomatic scientific. Catherine the Great, cultural scientific. And so these are all like, it tells you kind of what their strengths are. Charlemagne, militaristic scientific. I tend to, in civilization, I tend to be more of a diplomacy science guy. Like, I don't really try to conquer the world with the military. I build enough military to protect myself, but that's about it. Confucius is expansionist scientific. Friedrich, so this is a militaristic cultural. Then we've got 2 different Friedrichs here. And these allow you to unlock certain countries when you get to the modern age, which is kind of cool. We've got Harriet Tubman, diplomatic, militaristic. We've got Hatshepsut, cultural, economic. Himiko, diplomatic, scientific. Ibn Battuta, expansionist, wild card. Isabella, expansionist, economic. We've got Jose Rizal, cultural, diplomatic. Lafayette is cultural, diplomatic. Machiavelli is diplomatic, economic. Napoleon is economic, diplomatic. Pachacuti is economic, expansionist. Tecumseh, militaristic, diplomatic. Trung Trak is militarist, scientific. Xerxes, king of kings, is economic, militaristic. And then we have Xerxes, the Achaemenid, cultural, economic. So, yeah, so we're going to go Lafayette. Shark Tooth Bill, thank you. I wanted to improve my living history impression, be able to answer specific questions when formed, movements, etc. Yeah, that's a good place to start. There's also some really good books out there about the Iron Brigade that'll give you a lot of the specifics about when and where they moved. But yeah, I really think that if you want that kind of detail, you might dive also into the official records, which are all available online. Who are my top 3 historical figures? That's such a wide ranging topic. And there's so many different ways I could go with that. But the 3 that I'm most interested in, let's put it that way. Napoleon, Julius Caesar, and Theodore Roosevelt. I do a video on Bob Hawke, Australian Prime Minister, and Ned Kelly, the Aussie bushranger. Yeah, I do want to do some Australian history for sure. So we'll get into some of that at some point. All right, let's pick a civilization. And you can see that there are certain ones that you match up with well because they are also cultural or in diplomatic or cultural militaristic. I'm going to go with Rome. I like Rome. I like the feel of Rome. But they all have different kind of unique units, unique things you can unlock in the later ages. We can unlock America with Rome or with Lafayette. All right, let's do it. David, I appreciate that. I have played Red Dead Redemption 2. I never played the original. I think you meant Henry V, but thank you. I appreciate that. Typical guy always thinking about Rome. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe you could review some biography videos on some of the lesser known leaders of the game. That'd be interesting. Although the one I did today didn't do very well on the channel, so I don't know if we'll do any more biographics for a little while. All right, so nothing really there. That's just kind of the introduction to the game. We're going to dive right into it. Have I ever wanted to go to Russia? Yes, I would like to go to Russia, though I don't think now's the time for an American to be going to Russia. So, but at some point I would like to. Yeah, Kevin Doyle. So Tom Holland, not the Spider-Man actor, but the historian, who's the brother of James Holland, who's a World War II historian. Tom Holland has a great couple of books that I just finished on the Roman Empire. One's called Pax. One is called Rubicon. And those Rubicon, of course, covers Julius Caesar and him crossing the Rubicon, etc. But it goes back further than that. And then Pax covers kind of the period between like Augustus and Marcus Aurelius. Okay. Greetings, Lafayette. So we got to found our city first of all, and I guess this is as good a place as any. We got snow to start, so Rome's being built right on the snow here. It is 4000 BCE, and we got to start by choosing what we're going to produce right off the bat. We're going to produce a scout, so that'll allow us to get one going. Actually, yeah, Professor What? So this whole trip that I'm taking with my son, we're leaving Tuesday. I'm going to document all of it for VTH Extra, and my goal is to get some of those videos up on VTH Extra while we're still over there. I'm going to be editing like during our downtime as we have any. We don't have a lot of downtime. We're only in the UK for 5 days, and we're going to 3 games and a practice training in those 5 days. So there's not a lot of downtime, but there will be some. Yeah, we do need to cover some of the World War I battles, like naval battles like Jutland and things like that. Okay, so where are we at? All right, we've got our scout. We got to start exploring. Of course, you can see that we're very near to the north of the map. So Rome is very much a northern city at this point. So now we got to choose our first tech. We can look at the tech tree. And now with technology in the new game, you can actually get mastery of some of these things. And the mastery gives you certain things like +1 science on science buildings, gain 1 codex, steal technology advancement, things like that. Yeah, Professor What? I'm just getting settled into my office. You can see my bookshelves aren't even filled yet. I have like 5 boxes of books I haven't even gotten out yet. And I have a couple more bookshelves I have to assemble as well. But I am setting up an area for me to be able to record, to be able to do that kind of stuff. So as soon as I do that, I'll do that story. What first got me into history was when they found the Titanic. So I have to start with let's go with, so this is telling us here, our military and cultural advisors recommend animal husbandry. Economic advisor recommends sailing. And our science advisor recommends pottery. Let's go pottery. I do like to do science a lot. So, yeah, when they found the Titanic, I found myself getting every book at the library they had on the Titanic. And that's kind of how I got started. All right, we're going to build the granary. And we have to choose where to place this. So wherever we place it, it's going to gain us 1 food. But the problem is we're going to have to eliminate something we already have. In this case, we're going to eliminate some of our culture production in order to build the granary right there. Josh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna be doing some more of that gameplay. Like I said, probably tomorrow. I got a pretty full weekend. Tomorrow I'm going to be on with History with Waffles, on with a Civil War author, and we're going to be chatting Civil War on his channel. I also have another video call that I have to do tomorrow. And then Sunday, we're doing our video call with our Egypt tour group because I'm going to Egypt in a few weeks. And we're going to be doing a Zoom call with all of our Egypt tour members. All right, we get to grow our city. So now we get to choose which one of these tiles we want to expand to. And you can see each one of them gives you different benefits. So I think we're going to go with this one here because it gives us a little bit of everything: food, production, money. So that's a good place to go. Just got admitted to 1 out of 5 MA programs you applied to. Very cool. Congratulations. I can't wait to hear what you do with that. That's awesome. Have you seen Epic History's Belisarius series? I have not. I'm aware of it, but I haven't watched it because there's a potential that I could do a reaction to it, and I don't watch any videos I might react to. Hey, we discovered the Grand Canyon, 3925 BCE. So there's the Grand Canyon. You can see it right there. We were sending our scout to the south. So that's one of the things that's really cool about this. You can discover those sorts of things. You can also find these resources that you can eventually, if you build in that area, you can take those resources. Let's get our scout going that way. Do I think Richard III has gotten a bad rap? I think Shakespeare did make it worse, but I think Richard III earned some of that himself. Yeah, I would agree he was no saint, but not all bad. I mean, he's certainly not much worse than many other people of his era. He's certainly not a uniquely villainous character the way he's portrayed. Dan the Man Legend, thank you for being a member for 42 months. Holy cow, dude. I mean, that's about as long as this channel has really existed. So that's incredible, and I really appreciate that. That's amazing. What's the difference between feudalism in Europe versus India? Well, I'm not familiar with feudalism in India to be able to really say. And I actually wasn't even aware that India had a feudal system per se. Russell Friedman's book on the White Rose. I have not, but that would be an interesting read, as that's a movement that I'm very interested in, especially since I went to Munich. Exploration has revealed a wreckage, one of many discoveries that can be found in the world. Closer inspection grants a hidden benefit or opportunity. Try moving one of your units there to see what it provides. All right, so we're going to move to this wreckage. So we can comb through and get 30 science and 10 production for Rome, or leave an offering and get influence. Yeah, we want the science and production for sure. And with that, we have unlocked pottery. Who do I think is better, Falkenhayn or Ludendorff? That's a great question. I think they were both solid. I have to go Ludendorff, though. I think Ludendorff was more successful. Granted, it was in the East most of his success happened. Okay. Building your legacy. So economic advisor, military advisor. Which focus will we have? Science. We're going to focus on science. So that means we need to work on building a great library, which means we need to research writing. So first we need to grow our city again. Where do we want to go here? I'm going to go with food and happiness. I love your channel. Thanks for getting me interested in history, especially Napoleonic Wars. Oh, awesome. Do I know any channels about Indian history? You mean besides mine? It's a running joke. There was a like a site at one time that called me one of the top 10 channels on Indian history, and it said my name was Sam Nixon. So if you ever see anybody call me Sam, that's why. No, honestly, I don't know any good channels about Indian history. Yeah, it seems like everybody wants to be Rome in Civ 7 so far. All right, we got to choose another tech. We're going to choose writing. It's going to take a little while to research that. Ludendorff has, I don't know, Erich von Falkenhayn is a kind of an awesome name too. I've always been really interested in Falkenhayn for some reason. Have I been to Stamford? No, I have not. I've been to Stamford Bridge, which is where Chelsea plays. I mean, I've been past it. I haven't been in it. Would you rather defend a Mongol invasion or a Napoleonic invasion as a general with your current knowledge of history? I feel like a Napoleonic invasion because at least if I lose, I probably would be treated well and not just be massacred like I would be with the Napoleonic or with a Mongol invasion. All right, narrative choice. Advisors are at it again, arguing the same old tale of governments and their relative merits over too many cups of wine. Lafayette has had enough. The question is not how to keep control, but how to best preserve the dignity of each person, he says. Yeah, we're going to go science again. I'm all about the science. All right, civics. These unlock social policies. I haven't played with these a whole lot yet. Our cultural advisor recommends Civis Romanus. Our military advisor recommends that one. We're going to go with the cultural advisor, I think. Choose a government. We can change our form of government now. Classical republic, despotism, or oligarchy. We're going to go oligarchy. I think it works best for what we're trying to do right now. If I could have a conversation with any one historical figure of your choice, who would you pick? Well, I mean, taking religious figures out of it and going strictly historical, Napoleon. Napoleon seems like his interests and his knowledge are fascinating to me. I agree with you, Bookmonk, on removing the workers. I enjoyed making use of workers in the game. All right, we're going to choose a social policy. We're going to go with production and science. I like that. All right, so I have a problem here in that my button that you guys can't see, I have a button on my screen that says stop sharing, to stop sharing the screen on the stream, and it's right over top of that button that I have to click. So, okay. Let's continue with our exploration. I think we're going to go this way. Hey, Poland. Oh, man, I cannot wait to get to Poland one of these days. Do you have a recommendation for a reading list that covers different historical periods and topics? You know what I'm going to do sometime, Daniel, is once I get all my books settled, I'm going to do some videos where I just talk about some of my favorite books that I've read recently and just do recommendations here and there. People have asked me to do that for a long time. I need to do more of that. Professor What? I would say anything by Dan Carlin. Find one of Dan Carlin, his Hardcore History podcast. Find a topic that he covers, because he covers all kinds of stuff. Covers Rome. He covers the Celts. He covers ancient Persia. He covers World War I and World War II. Countdown to Armageddon, his World War I was fantastic. He's just such a good storyteller with his information. His research is top notch. Definitely check out any of his stuff. Any cool historic sites in Wisconsin? I haven't been to any historic sites. I've only been to Wisconsin a couple of times. Once was to speak in a school and once was for a wedding. So unfortunately, I haven't been to any historic sites that I could recommend. All right. We completed our granary. Time to choose production. We can't do, I need to do a settler, but I don't have them yet. I don't have a lot of money either, so I can't purchase anything. All right, we're going to go with the brickyard. So the brickyard is going to give us production, but it's going to be at the cost of something else. In this case, it's going to be at the cost of culture. I am a Civ lifer, Nick, going all the way back to the beginning. I mean, I've literally played every single civilization, starting with Civilization 1. Yes, that means I am that old. I know, because Civilization is older than a lot of you guys are. So, oligarch's gonna oligarch. Yep, that's right. Civ 7 is actually not out, but if you buy the deluxe edition, you can get access to the game now. It's not cheap, but I knew I was going to be gone next week, and I wanted to be able to at least get some content on Civilization up, and I wanted to be able to play the game on the trip. So, all right, we're going to grow our city again. Now we can get a bunch of food as well as silk and some culture here. I think that's what we're going to do. Yeah, let's do that. So now we've got silk. Oh yeah, I guess you can see my stop sharing button. There we go. We're going to hide that. I didn't even realize you could see it. I haven't played as either of the American leaders. I mean, technically Lafayette is kind of both, but so I don't know. I almost played as Harriet Tubman when I played last night for the first time, because I always found her to be a really fascinating figure from history. A book club, yes. No, I've not been to the Balkans yet, but that's definitely a place that's on my bucket list of places I'd like to go. Northeast Ohio in the house, awesome. Supposed to get some ice tomorrow. John Bradmore was a genius. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. When I first heard the story of how he saved Henry V, the future Henry V, from dying, and how he got that arrowhead from 6 inches embedded in his skull, remarkable. And especially when you think about it in the context of it being 600 years ago, it really was earned. I agree with you. Narrative choice. A famous young poet composes a work about Roman history and pens a gory chapter about a necromantic witch. Some say such unholy topics are outside the bonds of taste, although his peers argue that such details add thrills to the narrative. More gore will give happiness at the next celebration, or we can add culture. Let's go culture. The Netherlands. I know some history of the Netherlands, but mostly connected to other events like World War II, Napoleonic Wars, World War I, stuff like that. And I've been there. I mean, it was one of the very first countries in Europe that I ever visited, and I absolutely loved it. And I have some friends who live there. All right. Should we go writing 2? Animal husbandry. Yeah, we're going to go animal husbandry. Who do I think wins a soul war between Germany and the USSR in World War II? It depends on how you define a soul war. If there's no outside help, and I mean no supplies, no money, no ammunition, anything, Germany wins. If it's just their militaries fighting, but they still, for example, USSR still gets help, supplies and money from the UK and the US and things like that, then I think the USSR still wins. All right. We are on to 3625 BC now. Let's see if we got a new... I don't think we're going to make any changes to our social policy. Choose a civic. Discipline. That'd be military. We're not really going heavy military right now. Now we're going to keep going Civis Romanus. All right, production. All right, we can get a settler now. That's important because we need to build a second city. We haven't encountered any other civilizations yet, but there is a barbarian tribe over here that we're going to have to keep an eye on in case he decides to send anybody our way. All right, we're going to have to go south for our exploration at this point. Scavengers picking through battlefield remains begin play fighting with rusted swords. Their form needs work, but the swings are solid. Find room for... we can add a warrior to the newest settlement. Beautiful. Got a free warrior out of that deal. So we'll make sure that they're fortified in town there. And they'll actually build fortifications. So they'll kind of build somewhat of a wall around the center of the city. All right, let's get caught up on chat here. Yeah, I've been to Lambeau Field. I actually flew into Green Bay several years ago. All right, we're going to expand Rome again. Where do we want to go? I'm actually going to expand here because it's an area where I'll be able to build later. No, you know what? I'll go right here without really messing things up too much. So let's get a nice look at Rome. There you go. There's our growing city. Hey, we got 500 people here. That's cool. I'm just getting caught up on the chat a little bit here. I'm about 5 minutes behind. What was my first video game? My first game system, we had the ColecoVision, which is like super early technology. But the first one I really like played a lot of and had multiple games for was the Atari 2600. I loved Pitfall on that game, or on Atari. Adventure was one that was cool with dragons and puzzles and stuff. Space Invaders was a big one. Missile Command. Oh my gosh. Some fantastic games. Combat. Oh, that was so much fun. I'm telling you what, man, I miss the simple games sometimes. What do I think about the whole Trump presidency up till now? It's about what I expected. And I think I will say this. Trump is being Trump. That means the things that people like about Trump and the things that other people don't like. What I think's been really interesting so far that I think is the Democrats are really not, what's the word I want to say? I feel like they're doubling down on the stuff that got them beat in the election. Like it seems so far like they haven't learned anything. If I'm on the Democrat side, I'm thinking, what is it about this guy? Or what is it about our own policies? Because that's the thing people don't realize. Everybody thinks, oh, Trump won because everybody's racist and bigoted. No, a lot of people voted for Trump because they were tired of the crap coming from the other side. That's the same reason why a lot of people voted for Biden, because they were tired of the crap coming from Trump. And if they don't learn that lesson, they're going to get beat again in 2 years in the congressional elections. And I feel like right now the Democrats are just doubling down on the stuff that people already hate about them, and they need to figure themselves out, and they need to do it quickly, or you're just going to get more and more of what you're seeing right now. I didn't pay 130. I think it was like 100 though. I mean, there is like $130 edition, but I didn't pay for that one. There's one below that. Masonry, irrigation, writing to sailing. Let's look at the tree for a second. Kind of see what we're working toward. Yeah, I think I want to get to, let's get up to currency. So we got to do, let's do irrigation next, I think. Let's see. I'm just catching up on the chat a little bit here. Which European battle site is the most emotional? I have a couple of answers for that. First, and there's actually a short video with me visiting my very first European battlefield, which was Belleau Wood, because it was an hour from Paris, and so it was real close when I flew into Paris. That was my first trip to Europe. I hadn't slept all the night before. I had wanted to go to Europe for years and years and years. And so there was the lack of sleep. There was the emotion of years of build-up desire to go to Europe, the emotion of being on a World War I battlefield for the first time. And when I got out of my car and started walking toward that battlefield, I got really, really emotional. But I would say the one that continues to really hit me every time I go is the Somme battlefield. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm very interested in the British Army in that time period. And because that was such a devastating battle for the British Army. But Ypres also has those elements as well. Yes, Megan. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I've talked about it for a while. I'm looking at dates for this summer to do a World War I battlefield trip, and it won't be that expensive either. If we do it through the company that I'm looking at, I think we can do it relatively cheap. Cheap is a relative term. I mean, it won't be $3,000 for a week, is what I'm saying. Like some of the other trips that we've done. So I'm working on that, Megan. I am. Okay, what are we going to build here? We've got our library. Yeah, we need to do a library. Where are we going to put it? Wherever I put it, I'm going to lose some stuff. But that's the reality. If we put it here, we get 4 science. So let's do that. We'll destroy the farm that's there now. If we go here, we actually get that and some culture. Yeah, let's do it there. All right, we've got ourselves a settler. Let's look for a good spot to build our next city. I'm thinking right here. Yep, we're going to go there. Thoughts on Sons of Confederate Veterans? I've got no issue with them. I don't know much about like what their priorities are and what they stand for and things like that. So I can't really say more than that. I'm going to go this way with my scout. Fan from the Philippines. Very cool. Thank you. I have not been to Australia, but I definitely want to get there. Australia and New Zealand are high on my list. I don't know what my next civ is going to be. I guess we're going to see if we get that far. All right, is this where we set? No, this isn't where we were going to build. Oh, no, our settler ran into hostile warriors. That's a problem. All right, we need to get them out of there for the time being. And we're going to send our warriors forth to go deal with these guys. I don't think there's a crisis. I think it's a whole lot of talk that amounts to nothing. I wouldn't worry too much about Greenland. I think Trump says a lot of stuff that he doesn't necessarily follow through on. We're not going to invade Greenland or anything. I don't think anybody in America would be okay with that. Jimmy, I wouldn't say Dutch people are really rude. They're just very direct. I have had nothing but a positive experience in the Netherlands. I have friends who are Dutch, and I've spent time in the Netherlands, and I found the people to be very warm and generous. They're very direct and they're very honest, and I think some people might interpret that as rude, but that's not the impression I had at all. My favorite founding father is Alexander Hamilton. Dara, thank you. How is 7 compared to other civs? I haven't played enough of it yet to say. It still feels like Civilization, but yeah, there's definitely some new elements to it. But it very much feels like Civ still. So that's a good thing, I think. All right, let's attack these guys. We're going to get a minor victory, so that's good. Can't wait till I can get some Roman legions. All right, we're going to try to bring our settlers around here now. If I could rescue one artifact from World War II for posterity, what would it be? I agree 100% on the Enterprise. A ship with that much history, when you consider how many World War II ships we have saved and turned into museums, but we didn't do it with the Enterprise. It is a crime against humanity. And I say that in jest a little bit, but yeah. I'm supporting the Eagles in the Super Bowl. John Adams is a good choice, Mark, I think. I am going to Egypt in 3 weeks. I'll be in Egypt. I have heard of Dr. Zahi Hawass. Yeah, I've seen him on documentaries and things like that. Very cool. Powers and Thrones by Dan Jones is what you're currently listening to. Yeah, I did that one, 6 months or so ago. I like Dan Jones a lot. And I love the fact, I don't know, I can't remember if he narrated that one himself, but I know Henry V, he narrates himself. So that's pretty cool too. All right, we wiped out those warriors. Now I'll take my warriors back to Rome. How do I feel about the mini map? I don't know. I haven't really paid much attention to it. Favorite Ohio regiment other than the 20th? Ooh, good question. 23rd. They didn't do much during the war, but they gave us 2 presidents and a lot of other really famous people. Oh my gosh, another warrior? I got to go deal with this barbarian tribe at some point. My problem is that this unit needs to heal up. Oh, there's another barbarian settlement down here. Okay. Oh boy. Do I think birthright citizenship executive order will get shut down in the courts? Here's the thing. I don't believe Trump had the authority to declare that with an executive order. I think the executive orders have gotten out of hand in general. But it played perfectly into his hands that those attorneys general took it to court, because the people who do have the authority to rule on that are the courts, because the courts are the ones who can interpret the 14th Amendment and say, this is what it means. And they can, if it goes to the Supreme Court again, the Supreme Court could very well rule that the 14th Amendment does not grant automatic birthright citizenship to the child of non-citizens just because they're born in United States soil. So I think that's the ultimate goal of that executive order. I don't think he ever expected it would stand. I think he wanted it to get challenged in court so that the Supreme Court could rule on it, which is the ultimate goal. 1861, The Civil War Awakening by Adam Goodhart. I have not read that. Not familiar with that. I mean, I wouldn't say undisputed king of Europe, but certainly the king of a huge chunk of Europe for sure. All right, we got to expand our city again. Let's go right there. All right. Did he attack our settler? I think he did. This is frustrating that I can't build my settlement. We're going to have to, I think, in the old civilization, you could pair a settler with a warrior for protection. That might be what we have to do here. We can put them in an army together. I love your content. Enjoyed watching you in the Jeopardy game. So let's talk about that Jeopardy for a second. And thank you for that, Marksman. The one that happened this week with I think it was Fat Electrician and a couple other guys. I was so frustrated watching it. Because he put me against JD. And either one of us, had we been in that game, we would have destroyed everyone. But because we were against each other, it didn't work out. So I found myself screaming at the screen while I was watching all the questions they didn't know the answers to. And it just comes down to the categories, right? Everybody has their categories they're going to do well in. And there were a lot of questions on that one that I knew the answer to that none of them did. So that was, it's agonizing when that happens. We discovered a new continent. The explorer is naming it Oceania. All right, cool. All right, let's change our lens toggles here. Continent, there we go. All right, so we've got continents. This is all one big continent here. Kernerland. Yeah, okay, cool. Kernerland, North America, Oceania, and Kazakhstania are the continents that we have. Pong, then 2600, and you love Pitfall. So yeah, I had after the Atari 2600, my next game system that I played a ton of was the Commodore 64, and some of my all-time favorite games were on the Commodore 64. All right, we're gonna skip turn with the Settler. Mission Impossible, Airborne Ranger, Hunt for Red October. Oh my gosh, some incredible games. All right, I'm really far behind on the chat, so I'm going to try to get caught up here. Do I ever think I'd cover content on the Zodiac Killer? Yeah, at some point. I mean, it's not something I've really studied much, but I do have an interest in what they call true crime as a genre. All right, we got to pick a pantheon belief. So we're looking at some religion here. +1 culture, food, gold, and happiness in production, and science on the altar. So we're going to go the sun god, and then we have to build an altar to get all that stuff. All right, do I try to move my settler now? Our warrior's still only at half strength. So we're going to move the warrior, we're going to move the settler, and we're going to get them combined into an army before we move them again. I've been studying the American Revolution. What's one person from the American Revolution that doesn't get enough credit or recognition? Nathaniel Greene, one of the best generals in the war. Washington certainly thought so. Did I? Okay. I was just looking at a message. All right, how do we add them to an army now? Heal, alert, sleep. I guess it's not going to let me do that easily. So, all right, we're just going to move the warrior forward. What's over here? It's a scout. I'm not going to worry about his scout too much. It's going to make sure that we move slowly with the warrior. Okay. Let me catch up on chat before I do any more with the game here. If Gore wins in 2000, does he get reelected in 2004? Impossible to say because there's so much that happened. I mean, 9/11, how he handled that might go a long way to that, but there's probably a decent chance he does. Biggest fiasco you found yourself in Grand Tactician Civil War? Gosh, it's been so long since I played that. I'm trying to remember. My daughter's texting me. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of crazy fiascos that I found myself in that game, especially when I would get a little overeager and charge into a position thinking I was finishing off the enemy and ended up losing a battle that I otherwise would have won. All right. James, yeah. And I hope you guys don't mind that when I do things like check my texts from my kids, because all of this stuff, the history, the YouTube channel, being on the History Channel, traveling, none of it means anything if I'm not a good dad. So that comes first and foremost for me. Bronze working, masonry, writing, sailing. All right, let's take a look at the tree again. I want to work toward engineering, so we're going to go ahead and do bronze working next. All right, time for more production. Time to build the altar. That's going to get us all kinds of bonuses, especially if we build it here. We've still got a spot to build it here. So let's do that. There you go. You can see our altar going up right there. All right, we're going to work our way slowly toward this spot where we can build our second city. You didn't know I played games, dude. Long before there was vlogging through history, I was a gaming YouTuber. My first 4 years on YouTube were gaming before I started this channel. And the gaming channel still exists. It's just called VTH Gaming now. All right, where are we gonna go with this settler? I think we wanted to go here. So we'll keep moving the warrior to match. Was Russia the ones to start the end of World War II, or was Britain? It was all of it. I mean, because Russia bears the brunt in terms of casualties, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting on the Eastern Front. But a lot of that is supported by massive amounts of material and money and food coming from the UK and the US. So even when the US wasn't directly militarily involved in the war, the US was very much involved in the war. We were never neutral in the war. We were just neutral militarily. The gaming channel was originally called The History Guy. And about a month and a half after I started my gaming channel and called it The History Guy, another channel started that you guys know as The History Guy. History Deserves to Be Remembered, the guy with the bow tie. I started my channel first. He started his a month and a half later, but his grew really big. And then people started accusing me of stealing his identity, even though my channel was around first. So I ended up changing it to History Guy Gaming. And then I still got the accusations of copying from him. So I finally changed it to VTH Gaming when this channel started doing really well. We met a new civilization. Took a long time this time around to meet a new civilization. What are my feelings about the Browns right now? It is really tough to be a fan. I don't blame Myles Garrett one little bit for wanting to get out of there and find somewhere he can win. All right, we're going to do friendly greeting. My goal, I play Civilization, pretty much diplomacy and science. I don't do a lot militarily. I don't go around conquering people unless I need to. So I always try to have the best relations possible with other nations whenever I can. Can we try a cultural exchange? I don't know if that's how we do that. If we just click on that and then go, I don't know. New civilization, send in the smallpox. Ouch. Okay, thoughts on Lord of the Rings? I love Lord of the Rings. Big fan. Just bought my son the books for Christmas. Okay, so we're going to sit tight right here with our warrior, because this is also where we are going to build our new settlement, which is a town. And now we can grow the town. Food is the most important thing for initial growth, so we're going to choose the food tile there. Wait. There are Lord of the Rings books. Anybody want to tell him? That's what Lord of the Rings is. The movies were based on the books, which were written in the 1950s. Yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien. He was a friend of C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia. They were both professors at Oxford. All right, what do we got here? Oh, this is our explorer, our scout. Yeah, I wondered if maybe he was jesting too, but I don't want to take that for granted. There's movies of that Amazon show. Okay. I like it so far. I haven't played it that much, but so far so good. Yeah, Christopher Lee's story is absolutely wild. That might be a fun video to do someday. A soldier returns with a harrowing tale, a unit wandering the sands, ever chasing a sparkle of lake seen just over the next hill, then the next, and the next. That's some culture. All right, so we are 20% of the way to the next age. And age progression can happen from different things. One of the things that will dramatically speed up the next age is if a nation gets defeated. So I've seen that happen a few times. If the game's ready now, why not have it launched today? Because it's a way to get money. And they charge people more to get the deluxe edition because it gives them access to the game a week earlier. And fools like myself pay it. What 3 periods would you say the most knowledgeable about? American Civil War, World War One, and then not so much a period as a topic would be U.S. presidents. Yes, I'd very much like to go to Greece. My son is learning Greek, so I know he'd love for me to take him there. Let's take a look. Richard, let me double check, make sure I didn't miss it. Oh, I haven't gotten that far yet. That's okay. Do I miss Civ 2 and Settlers being some of the most dangerous units in the game? It's been so long since Civ 2 was a thing, I really don't remember. I have no clue, honestly. All right, we're being attacked in our new city. Thankfully, we have a warrior there who's going to light these guys up. So that problem solved. Richard, thank you for that. You're from the UK. I wanted to reach out and send over your contribution as a sincere thank you to the person who got me into studying the American Civil War. Awesome. I love that people in the UK are studying that because I spend a lot of time studying UK history. So, okay. So, yeah, it's just telling us about the leader screen. Not really anything we need to deal with that right now. Production, back to Rome. Should we build a basilica, a saw pit, a garden? We can get slingers. I'm going to wait until I can get, we could do a great project, the hanging gardens. Let's do that. We'll build the hanging gardens right there. I want to wait until I can get Roman legions before I build more military units. You know what? Nah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till I have legions. So I'm going to hold these guys tight here. But we do need to build something in this town. It'll take we could buy something. We have enough money. I'm going to do granary because it's going to build up our growth a little bit. All right, we'll fortify. Alexander, thank you for that. Whenever I play Civ games, I try to imagine what the life of my grandfather's brother was. He headed out to sea at 16. Wow. With no knowledge about the world and other cultures. Wow. Imagine the things he must have seen and experienced. Incredible. Oh, man. I wish he would have written a book or kept a journal about that or something. That would be amazing. All right. We met another new civilization. Have you come to me, Kung Fu Zi? It's Confucius. Friendly greeting. Always want to be on good terms. Why buy the pre-release if they haven't worked out all the bugs in the game? Because it's fun, and I'm a glutton for punishment. And I don't care about the bugs nearly as much as other people do. Let's do a local festival. He's the leader of the Han civilization. My son actually just started learning about ancient China in social studies in school. So we were talking a little bit about that in the car. Greetings from the UK, from an American living there. Awesome. So E. Ulmer, I'm curious, what took you to the UK and where do you live? You don't have to tell me like your street address, but kind of generally, where do you live? The bugs are a feature. That's right. Okay. You have earned your first leader attribute. All right. So we have, and these leader attributes basically come in like, they're almost like a research tree that you get. And you get them in different areas. So we have a cultural one, +1 culture per age on the palace and city halls. So one of the things I think that Civ 7 has that definitely sets it apart from the previous ones, there's a lot more customization available that I'm noticing. Now, just starting with how you can choose your leaders and your starting civilization independent of each other, but then the choices you can make and the customization you can do to your leaders, to your civilization, to your towns. There's a lot more replayability, I think. And not that civilization ever had a problem with replayability, but I think that it adds a whole lot more to it. Do I think Gettysburg has that large an impact on the Civil War? It does, if nothing else, psychologically, because it's the first time Robert E. Lee is decisively beaten. I mean, you could argue he was beaten at Antietam, but that was more of a draw on the battlefield. He got his butt kicked at Gettysburg in the end. And I think that had a huge impact from that standpoint. Nuclear Gandhi, Professor What says. All right, we need to grow Rome again. Go right there. Now we get to grow our other town again. I'm going to go right here. Choose a civic. I'm going to go discipline. We're up to 2925 BC or 2900 BCE now. There was a dream that it was Rome. Oh man, the throwbacks to the first Gladiator movie. Should presidents be able to pardon themselves? No, and I'm not sure that they can. I don't know if they can or not. I mean, Malvern Hill was a butt kicking, but I'm not really thinking in terms of individual battles, especially when Malvern Hill was one of a series of battles fought over the span of several days. Gettysburg is like its own thing, right? It's like a campaign. Malvern Hill was during a retreating action by the Union, pulling back from the 7 days. Twickenham. Okay, very cool. I'll be in London a little bit next week. Oh, okay. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Enterprise is usually who I use. Enterprise and National. Said being a good dad is important. What American president would you consider to be the best dad? Wow, that's a tough question, because I think there have been some that were very good dads. I think Grant was a very good father. I think that's, if I were to say what was Grant really good at, it was being a general, being a husband, and being a father. Not real great at much else, but he was really good at those things. And I think he was a good friend too. All right. We get to pick another policy. +2 gold in all settlements, +2 food, +3 combat strength for fortified districts. I think we're going to go food. I love the food to get that growth going. Let's take a look at our comparison to us and the other cultures that we've encountered so far, because those are the only ones we really can compare ourselves to. Yeah, but Mark, he was never drinking when he was around his family. That was one of the hallmarks of his drinking, was that he typically did it when his family wasn't around and he had nothing to do. There's no stories of him drinking when he's around his wife and kids. Okay, so not a lot to compare there. Oh, Confucius has a great library. All right, we're gonna have to get one of those. Defenseless settlements. Yes, I know Rome's defenseless. Oh, there's a unit coming that way. Now they'll have some trouble because of the walls, the fortified area, initially. But all right, we need to purchase a unit. Oh, we can't afford any, can we? Yeah, we don't have enough money to purchase a unit. We've got 26 turns on the Hanging Gardens still. Okay, so here's what we need to do then. We're going to need to send this warrior. No, I need to wake him up. Move. Oh, it's going to take him 6 turns to get there. That's not great. I'm going to have to cancel Hanging Gardens so I can get this warrior built. Okay. Yeah, this is a major problem. Can I purchase him now? No, I can't. All right. If I could teach any history course, what would I choose and why? It would be World War I, because I think it's a part of history that's uber important to the history of the world, and it's not something nearly enough people know about. Best movie American president. Oh boy. I mean, none of them are as good as Jed Bartlett as a president. He's a TV president, but he's definitely my favorite. All right, yeah, he's attacking Rome's defenses. My warrior's never going to get there in time, but thankfully I'm going to build one soon. Movie president. Wow. It's maybe Harrison Ford in Air Force One. I don't even remember his character's name. Gladiators, mid. Oh, Dan. How's my Premier League team doing this season? I don't have a Premier League team. My team's in the championship, and they just picked up some really good players in the transfer window. So I'm excited. And I'm going to see them on Wednesday night. I'm going to be at the game. So, Spooky Boy, I think it's tough to say because we just had a Democrat, and now we're only going to have one term of this president. So I don't know that that's going to be the case. I think it's going to depend heavily on how the next 4 years go. If the economy's doing well and we're at peace and America is largely like in a place of strength and a place of prosperity, I think J.D. Vance walks to the presidency in 4 years. If that's not the case and the Democrats nominate the right candidate, I think somebody like Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, then it could be a very competitive race. But I think J.D. Vance is 100% the Republican nominee in 4 years. Young guy from Ohio, well-spoken, does well in like the podcast setting, which is the wave of the future, really, if you think about it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. What is my opinion on the view that the fall of Constantinople was the end of the medieval age? I don't think there's any particular great historic impact that makes it that cutoff date. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the mid 15th century that that is such an iconic event that it makes it a good stopping point. A lot of people will use the Battle of Bosworth for the end of the medieval period in the UK for similar reasons, because it's the end of 300 years of the Plantagenet dynasty. And so it's a nice, clean cutoff point to delineate the beginning, like what came before from what came after. Same thing with the fall of Constantinople. It's not like that dramatically changed anything to mean before and after as far as the medieval period goes. It's just an easy way to mark the time, I guess. I agree. The actor who played Grant in Lincoln, that is Jared Harris, who has been in a lot of things lately. He's a British actor. And I loved him in The Crown as King George VI. He was in Chernobyl, HBO. He's done a lot of great stuff lately. You're from Richmond. Your dad has a house on a battlefield. Very cool. Had trenches and cannon placement protecting the bridge over White Oak Swamp. Yeah. Not the famous one. Interesting. That's very cool. Okay. Let's get caught up on super chats here. Would you consider doing a live stream going through Shakespeare's history plays and talking about what's accurate and what's not? That would be actually interesting. I think it would be tough to like read through it. But if we could find a video of it to watch, that might be a way to do it. Okay, so what unit? This is Legatus. Oh, when did I get him? All right, promote. Oh, look at all this. The promotion. Wow, there's a lot more to these military units now. Bastion, assault, logistics, maneuver, leadership. Wow. Okay, we're going to have to get into that at some point. Greetings from Western Massachusetts. King Philip's War. Yeah, I was just thinking about that recently. 17th century, not something we really talk about a lot. Oh, yeah, we talked about that already. Joe, appreciate all your content. Longtime sponge. I like how you described that. That's very cool. What invention in U.S. history had the most significance to American progress? I wouldn't say it had significance to progress, but maybe actually hampered our progress. I think the invention of the cotton gin was huge because I think it actually prolonged what a lot of people thought would be the eventual death of slavery by making slavery profitable. Rangers fan, history buff hailing from Bonnie, Scotland. You are a Rangers fan. Very cool. So am I. In fact, my great-great-great-grandfather owned a pub that's still in Glasgow, and it's a Rangers pub. It's the Old Toll on Paisley Road. I still want to get to Ibrox. I've been to Ibrox, but not for a game. I want to get to a game there. But I'm going to be in Glasgow next weekend because I'm a part owner of Caledonian Braves, who are a fifth-tier team in Scotland. And my son and I are going to go, and we're going to watch training on Friday. And then we're going to the game on Saturday. The Sharp series. Yes, I've watched a lot of the Sharp series. Favorite Civil War earthworks I've ever seen. Without a doubt, it's Vicksburg. Vicksburg's incredible. Absolutely incredible. All right. Let's get through a little more of the game. We're going to start wrapping this up here pretty soon. I'm not planning on streaming for too long tonight. Got a lot going on this weekend. So +3 per turn in towns for both leaders. I think I probably am going to get in for free. And I've already been talking to Reg McLaren, who is I'm also a player sponsor for Reg McLaren, who's one of their forwards. And so if you follow them like on X or anything like that, anytime he scores a goal or if he gets player of the game, it'll say sponsored by Vlogging Through History. So that's pretty cool. So I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm not worried about paying. It's probably like $6 or $8 for a ticket for one of those games. I mean, our West Brom tickets were down 8 rows from the field, and they were like $30. Can't complain at all about that. Now our game, we're in the upper deck for Tottenham Hotspur versus Manchester United, and those were like 150 a piece. All right. We still have okay, they're leaving now. They're like, we're out of here. I've got a Roman legion finally. Excellent. They're coming for you. I'm going to send the Roman legion out to wipe out his warriors, and then we're going to go after Gutiuda over there. All right, tech. Bronze working 2, masonry, sailing. This is just the tech tree for our current age, obviously. We haven't even done the wheel yet, so let's do masonry so we can get the wheel. All right, we're back to building. I'm going to go ahead and build one more legion. Great works. Still doing Battlefield 1. Yeah, I'll play some more at some point, but I've got so many other things I want to do right now that I'm not sure if I'll get to it real soon. Plus, I'm not going to be able to do much gameplay on the gaming channel in the next week because I'll be gone. How did I learn so much about my ancestry and what they did? Lots of time. I mean, literally thousands and thousands of hours I've spent in the last 35 years. Well, when am I 47? About 30 years I've been researching my family tree. I mean, hundreds of hours every year doing it. The best era of presidents, like 3 presidents, one after another. There's a couple that come to mind. FDR, Truman, Eisenhower is a pretty good era. Wow, that might be the best example I can think of. Jefferson, Madison, Monroe wasn't bad. Beyond that, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe somebody else can mention something. As a man with a historical degree, do you know that are there any central or federal archives on international relation documents in the U.S.? I'm sure there are. I will say this. The presidential libraries often have those as relate to that particular presidency. So if you're interested in international relations, say during the Clinton era from 93 to 2001, you could go to the Bill Clinton Presidential Library in Little Rock, Arkansas, which I've been to. It's really cool. And you can get into all of their archives there, all of his papers from his presidency. Those are really good places if you go to the presidential libraries for that stuff. Favorite historical site in West Virginia, the Philippi battlefield. There's not much to see, but it was the first real battle of the Civil War. So, all right, we're going to expand our town again. Let's go here. Town specialization available. I don't need a scout. All right. Wipe these guys out. Fillmore Pierce Buchanan. Oh, man, that's awesome. No. Have you ever had any idea to take submissions from subscribers about the history of them? South Shields, where I live, had the first electric lighthouse. No, I mean, that's a cool idea, though, to cover some more local history, like more obscure things. I've not been to Denmark, but I would like to get there, Nico, for sure. First time seeing you live. Love the history content. Very cool. Glad that you're here. Yeah, it's 1:30 in Manchester. I know it's really late, man. While revising for a level, you used me as a source for your history coursework. Very cool. I know it's really late for our European friends right now. Rangers fan. Yes, long-suffering Rangers fan. Hey, we got the best of Celtic a couple weeks ago. That was a nice win. Just wish they could do that in the rest of the season. Love the TV series, but the books are even more awesome. I should get into the Sharp books. But I just, of all the time that I need for other things, unfortunately, I just don't have time for fictional books, even though they're set in historic figures or historic time periods. What is my view on Nixon? How's he compare in my eyes to Kennedy and Johnson? No, I think Nixon's whole presidency gets overshadowed by Watergate, and that's unfortunate. And he has no one to blame but himself for that. But super intelligent. If you ever watch interviews with him, Nixon was really, really smart. Definitely had an incredible command of the issues. Just was his own worst enemy, unfortunately, but probably one of our most intelligent presidents. Doesn't get enough credit for some of the good things he did during his presidency. And I think as time goes by, his presidency will be seen more favorably. Do I have a favorite U.S. diplomat? Yeah, John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams, very much in diplomacy. Charles Francis Adams is another one. That's actually his son, I think. All right. We're taking out these units on our way to conquering these barbarians. Choose a technology. Let's research the wheel finally. We're only at 2650 BC. The pyramids were being built by this time. What is the oldest book I own? That's a great question. I mean, oldest in terms of oldest publishing date. We have a family Bible that goes back to 1812 and has birth dates written in it from people born in the 1700s. So probably that. What is my favorite moment I've experienced with my YouTube history content creator friends? Wow. We've had some amazing ones. A few. So the first time I met my friend JD from the History Underground, and he's become one of my best friends, was when I was there for his cleanup project in Currahee, where the guys from Band of Brothers trained. So that was a really cool moment. But I've had some great moments where we've done tours together. So we, a couple times a year, all get together and we rent out like an Airbnb. So we went to Verdun and did one. We just did one in Ypres and the Somme in France. We were just in Cambridge, England together and toured some of the World War II bomber bases. So those are all a lot of fun. So I guess any one of those. But I think, honestly, just hanging out in the hot tub with a bunch of guys that 3 years ago I didn't know, who are from England and the Netherlands and other parts of the U.S. And also these people I've met on tours that aren't YouTubers, but I've got this whole group of friends that started out as fans of the channel, and then I did these group tours to places like Germany and Austria and then Italy, and then we've got the one coming up in Egypt. And we've got this group of people that have become good friends that I talk to almost every day. Just went to an Ohio State game with a couple of guys I met on a tour. So really, I mean, the channel has changed my life in so many ways, but that's one of the unforeseen changes in my life in a positive way, has been all of the really close friends that I've developed. I'll be honest, 5 years ago, I didn't really have any close friends that I saw regularly. I have a few friends who don't live close that I talk to, but didn't have much of a circle of friends. And now I do, and it's because of this channel. So that's really, really cool. And so no matter how big this channel gets, no matter how famous I might be, no matter how many times I might end up on things like the History Channel, stuff like that, I will never, ever, ever stop being very active with this community, because that's my favorite thing about all of this has been all the people I've gotten to know. And even a lot of you that I've never met, but when I see your username pop up, I feel like I know you a little bit because we've interacted so much over time. And of course, now we have the Discord, and I'm on Discord almost every day. And I know a lot of you aren't, because we've unfortunately had to limit the Discord to patrons and members, just because when we had Discord before and we had thousands of people in it, it just was too hard to manage. It got out of control and it ended up not being a positive experience, I don't think. So we had to have some way that we wanted to make a Discord without it getting out of control. So that was the way we chose to do it, unfortunately, for those who aren't able to do that. Your grandfather was in the Blues and Royals and served during the Troubles. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, Professor What knows the previous Discord was rough. Citizenship, we'll go there. Choose production. Let's go ahead and build a basilica in the forum, shall we? Or in the center of town there. Basilica is just a big meeting area. I know it means church to us now. Richie recently found ancestors from Norfolk and Yorkshire in 1438 and 1510. Very cool. The main thing with English ancestry is that when you get back to that point, you need to be connected to somebody with nobility or you're not going to find much, because it was only during the reign of Henry VIII, I think 1538, is when they started really keeping good detailed records of the everyday people, baptisms, marriages, burials, stuff like that. So before that, if you're not somebody of some significance, it's really hard to find anything. Anyway, anyone in your ancestry that's linked to a known historical, oh gosh, all kinds of them. And I have those of my own too. I mean, both of my parents are descended from Pocahontas. In fact, 3 of my 4 grandparents are descended from Pocahontas. So Pocahontas is a direct ancestor of mine. Of course, I have ancestors who were, I need to build something besides, okay, there we go. Ancestors who were involved in like Plymouth, on the Mayflower, Jamestown, stuff like that. I'm descended from James IV, the King of Scotland. Henry Hotspur Percy is an ancestor of mine. Daniel Boone, I'm descended from 2 of his sisters. So he's an uncle on both sides of the family. Oh, we can build a trade route. Very cool. Improve trade relations. I'm trying to think of who else off the top of my head. Oh, now we have 2 trade routes. Oh, 0 out of 2. Oh, we have to pick what we want to trade. Is that what we need to do? We need to send a merchant. Okay, well, we don't have a merchant yet, do we? Oh, there we go. I just had to right click. That's why. Problem is we don't have we need to build a sea route, because that would be faster. We got another legion. We're going to fortify them. Oh, we can't fortify because there's already a unit fortified. How do I heal these guys? Oh, here. There we go. Heal. Put me in, coach. Nice. Any other trips coming up, Malik says. So let me tell you what's going on. Next week, going to the UK with my son. We're going for football. I'm unfortunately no meetups because it's a really quick trip. And my son being 17, it's not like I can go hang out in pubs or anything late at night. So, plus, we're basically either traveling or attending games pretty much every day. So not a lot of downtime. I'll be back. I'll be briefly at the Show of Shows in Kentucky. My friend JD will be there as well. So I'll be there for like 2 days. Then I come home and then I go to Egypt the beginning of March. Be in Egypt, actually in London for a couple of nights, and then on to Egypt for a week, and then home. In April, I will be in Appomattox for the 160th anniversary of Lee's surrender to Grant. Be there for all the festivities involved in that. End of April, we're doing the group trip that I'm hosting to Berlin, Dresden, Bratislava, Prague, and Vienna. Excited about that. Beyond that, May, Gettysburg Film Festival. Be back with Martin Sheen and some other potentially really big names that could be there that I can't mention because they're still not 100% confirmed. A bunch of the Band of Brothers guys will be there. In June, I'm going to be tentatively at the Library of Congress at the end of June for an event where they're working on this, and you'll hear more about this coming up soon. If you've seen the show The Pacific, you're familiar with Eugene Sledge, who was one of the main characters in The Pacific. His family is going to be donating his Bible that he carried during the war to the Library of Congress. And we're having a big day of events associated with that, with historians and with guys that were in the Pacific, some of the big actors from that, at the Library of Congress that day. And I'm going to be a part of all of that. So excited about that. Beyond that, there's some stuff in the works. JD and I have talked about getting together to do something in Vicksburg at some point. I do want to lead a battlefield tour of Shiloh at some point. So trying to figure out where to fit that in. This fall coming up is my son's senior year in high school. It's his last year of school, which means it's also his last year of playing soccer, which he's been playing since he was 5 years old. So I'm squeezing in a lot in the first half of the year, because between July and November, until I get my son's soccer schedule, I'm basically not planning anything, because I don't want to miss a single moment of that. And I'm getting a little emotional just talking about it, because it's been our lives. And with my son turning 18 this fall, if you're a parent, you understand there are far fewer moments ahead with him than I've had behind us. Just, even if I live to be 100 and I've got the next, 50 years with him, I won't see him every day like I do now. And so I want to make the most of every one of those moments while we still have them, because there are not many left. So, yeah. Okay, let's do a few more turns, and I think we're going to wrap this up. I'm getting a little exhausted. It's been a long day. Greetings from Spain. Very cool. We're going to grow our town some more. So obviously, as you can see, we have just barely scratched the surface of this game. There's so much more to it. We're 58 turns in. We're only at 2575 BC. We're still in the first era of all of this. We're only 29% progressed through this particular age of the game. So there's a lot more to go, but I am going to go ahead and wrap things up right here with this stream. Thank you all so much for joining, for being a part of this. Thank you to everybody who did the super chats. And if you haven't already, please check out all of the other channels. There's a link in the description of every video. It'll take you to Stories of the Great War, which is where I post all my original content for World War I. Stories of the Civil War, which I'm working on some new stuff. I'm going to head to Antietam soon to record some stuff for Stories of the Civil War. VTH Extra is where all the stuff from this upcoming football trip that I'm taking with my son is going to go in the next week or two, as well as anything else that doesn't really relate to gaming or to history. So check all that stuff out. Dan, is there a super chat that I missed? I don't want to miss that. Hold on. There's a couple super chats I missed. Let me do those real quick. I'm sorry. Have I heard of Dr. Amy Acton? Oh yeah, she's local. She grew up about 5 miles from where I'm sitting right now. So yeah, we know who Dr. Acton is. Can a Democrat still win Ohio? I think they could. They would have to be moderate. They couldn't be very liberal. And I think Dr. Acton probably is more moderate, but we'll see when she starts running and we start seeing her views on policies. Preferred English Bible translation is NIV. So, yeah, that's typically what I use. We saw that one. Favorite time period in history, World War I right now. I just think it's fascinating. There's so many incredible human interest stories to me during that time period. So, all right. Thank you guys so much. And again, thank you for all the super chats. We'll see you again soon.